Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. Right, so in today's video we're going to be talking about Jubilee. I have spent quite large part of the day and started playing her. I do feel somewhat more comfortable. It's still a bit tricky, but I can definitely draw my initial conclusions after having used her myself and consumed a whole bunch of media, obviously, of people talking about her, showcasing her, and I can come to my own conclusions, I think, quite realistically and reliably at this point. Right, so before I get any further in this video, and it is extremely important that everybody understands what I'm trying to say here, I do not think that every champion in the game has to be absolutely OP or insane. I do not think that there is anything wrong with filler slot champions and stuff like that, so long as they feel great and at least have something that they are realistically going to be used for. At the same time, I do feel like Jubilee is a huge wasted opportunity. Towards the end of the video, I will offer a couple of small tweaks to her ability set that would in fact make her at least usable or a decent alternative if you do not have, let's say, quote unquote, the best option. Because let's be clear of the fact, Jubilee isn't going to be best at absolutely anything. She can do a lot of different things, but nothing of it great. She's not going to be your go-to option for a slow champion. She's not going to be your go-to option for damage. She's not going to be your go-to option for ability accuracy reduction or power control or any of that stuff. Anything that she has on her ability kit is meh. Or alright, but none of it individually makes her a great champion. Now, there would be a hope that maybe not on her individual merits, but as a combination of abilities, it would amount for incredibly awesome kit. But unfortunately, it does not. The main reason why it doesn't is the fact that you sacrifice virtually all of your damage in order to access any of the utilities outside of the damage over time debuffs. So it means you can have either reasonable damage output champion, and she's not gonna break any damage records even if you discard all of the utility and only focus on damage. So it's to say, even at her best damage, she's not good enough to be considered like really high damage champion. Even at her best. But in order to access that best, you sacrifice everything that could be important about this character. And then obviously, yes, there are the utility bits. There is a taunt, which is cool, which you can keep up. But again, if you choose to activate taunt, you automatically extend the fight duration like times 2 or 3. If you choose to rely on slow, like I'm doing in this fight, yes, you can maintain it the entire fight, but again, you sacrifice pretty much all of your damage output. I'm not even talking about the fact that you're not dealing the extra damage you could do in the firework phase. We're also talking about the fact that you can't build up to your level 3 and gain extra 12 promises if you want to have taunt active, because both of those things do not exist at the same time. And even then, let's say you don't build to 12, but whilst you are in your firework burst phase, you're not building any promises, and Jubilee doesn't have any other damage enhancement outside of those promise mechanics. Not to mention that all of that is extremely reliant on crit RNG, and it's also reliant on access to these promise buffs, which grantedly stack quite quickly and easily, but whilst you're actually using what she's meant to be used for, you're waving a white flag to a short fight that you're saying goodbye to all of your damage. Alright, so I think it's inherently woefully awful design, because we are basically stuck with a champion that has some of the shittiest damage output in the game if we want any of her subpar utilities, which aren't even that potent. Or we can get a slightly above average or average damage dealing champion at the cost of everything and anything interesting that she could be able to do. And the result is this. The result is where I generally can't tell you why would you take up Jubilee instead of any mutant released in the last couple of years, pretty much. While you Gambit higher, which was alright rework, and while you Storm Pyramid X higher, well, you pretty much, yeah, anything that has been added in the mutant class in the last couple of years has a purpose, has something that you would look at the champion at and go for, like, yeah, I can use that champion for this, therefore I should rank it up. And whilst I understand that not everybody is in the same position when it comes to deciding rank up, some people just rank up purely the champions that they do have for what they can do because they don't have all of the choices. But in this case, I genuinely do not think that it's a good idea for anyone outside of ranking up for fun, which is, again, perfectly fine thing to do, to take her up. Now, she also has other inherent problems, like the fact that her firework surges. So you have access to 5 and 6 hit combos, which is kind of cool, which helps you understand which fireworks you can transition to and how. But what makes this already confusing mechanic even more overwhelming to play around is the fact that whenever you strike opponent's block, you also change the fireworks. So it's nothing that you cannot train for. It's nothing that you cannot learn from your heart what sequence the colors are going to change. But it's still going to be a lot of firework watching. It's still going to be occupying your brain trying to figure out which mode when you're in. And it's just made overly complex. Like, for instance, Diablo is a champion that changes his potions with every light hit that he drops, and it's significantly more manageable than this, and even that is hard. And here is a good example on the screen of another utility that she kind of has, where she's able to shrug off all the damaging debuffs, but unfortunately she does it only with a level 1. So if you stack a bunch of poisons, you can see that my health was pretty much gone by the time. It's a cool thing to do, but it doesn't amount to much. And there are obviously definite smaller tweaks that we could and should look at Jubilee, and I definitely do urge Kabam to make small adjustments to this champion so she at least can be borderline used. And I think the biggest thing, the immediate thing that shouldn't even really be up for discussion is the line of text where Jubilee cannot gain prowess if she is in any of the surges. I think that simply has to go. If Jubilee would still be able to build up her prowess, and let me remind you, prowess is the only way she accesses any meaningful damage. If she would still be able to build these prowess buffs whilst she has any of the surge modes active, at least you would be able to salvage significant portion of your damage output if you actually chose to use one of her abilities. And I remind you, none of her utility abilities are potent enough for her to be in a front runner in any of these specific, let's say, needs. If you need a slow champion, you're not going to go with it. If you need town champion, you're probably not going to go with it. If you need ability accuracy reduction, power control, or whatever, there's pretty much nothing you'd pick Jubilee for as your best option at the moment in the game. Perhaps there will be eventually, but not at the moment. And the fact that you have subpar abilities, and to access them you have to sacrifice pretty much all of your damage output, is just straight up insulting, I think. And that wouldn't make her OP or crazy good or anything, but at least that would open her up a little bit more to actually be used as some sort of alternative if you don't have the best option. And yeah, I think that line of text has to be changed immediately in Jubilee. Just let her gain prowess whenever she's in or out a surge. Shouldn't matter. Cap it at 12, perhaps top it at 15, that could give her some bigger damage output. But if you don't want to increase the caps, then at least let her gain the prowess while she is in a surge mode. And the second thing, specifically for slow, but by extension probably to all of the debuffs, you should have them active from the first hit, or have them activate on every single hit, or something like that. Because right now, for instance, when you want to access slow, she activates slow on the last hit of the special one when you're in your blue firework mode. And that is annoying. That makes her significantly worse slow champion than many others who activate it on the first hit, or heavy attacks or access slow in different means, because that means you have to be able to land the entire special attack, only then the slow will activate. And what is also quite important, because obviously slow is a mechanic that combats unstoppable. And many of the unstoppable abilities in this game trigger on timer. That means that currently, in order to use this slow from Jubilee, you need to make sure the opponents do not go unstoppable in the middle of your combo or special attack. Because if they do, when you have something like buff toggle unstoppable, or what is it, brave, I think, or whatever, brawl node, for instance. If you're throwing level 1 and opponent goes unstoppable in the middle of it, they can just block a hit and dash out of the way or whatever. So that's another thing that Jubilee, it's just another small example of why Jubilee will not ever be anywhere close to being a top option for anything. Because even the most potent pieces of utility that she has access to are inherently significantly worse than vast majority of the stuff that we already have in the game. And that unfortunately kind of sums it up for Jubilee. So she's a mediocre champion in every aspect in terms of damage and utility, but what makes it significantly worse that you need to pick one if you want to do anywhere near acceptable damage. It's not even crazy good damage, acceptable damage. You sacrifice all of your utility, or if you want to access any of the subpar utility, you sacrifice all of your damage. And yeah, I think that is pretty much automatically relegating Jubilee to the bottom end of the mutant class. And mutant class is a very important class, and competition is very stiff. And again, it's very important that everybody understands, I don't want any new champion to be like OP broken or anything like that, but I would like for any new champion added to the game have a purpose, have a meaning, have a role. And perhaps I'm just short-sighted and not smart enough, or whatever, or not motivated enough to add some oh my god insane god tier stuff when I'm talking about new champions. But Jubilee doesn't seem to be a champion that has a purpose. Jubilee seems to be a case where a creator went too far, trying very hard to make sure they portray the champion accurately from comics or cartoons into this game, because she does feel like Jubilee by all aspects, visually and ability wise. But nobody stopped to think why or what for this champion is going to get used, what I can do with Jubilee, kind of thing. Because yeah, again, she's kind of back to where she was before she joined X-Men. She's a homeless teenager with no real purpose or home. But it sucks, because I really wanted Jubilee to be awesome. Jubilee was one of the most hyped characters for me. And I'm not going to say Kabam did her dirty, but I'm definitely going to say that she doesn't have what a champion needs in 2021 to be useful, used, or loved. But yeah, that is it for today's video. Let me know what you guys think about Jubilee. Obviously, there are cool things about her. If you get lucky on crits, some decent damage. Animations are cool, but animations are cool on every character. So yeah, my proposed changes: let her gain prowess, regardless whether she has entered the surge mode or not. Remove the firework switching when you hit the block. and let the debuff trigger at the first hit of the special attack instead of the last. And yeah, I think that would significantly improve the character. But that is it for me ranting thus far. Let me know if I missed anything, let me know if I'm totally wrong, and let me know how much I suck for not saying that she's god tier, and let me know how wrong and negative and toxic or whatever I am for not hyping her up. See you later, guys.